So welcome everyone. We are into module number 7 and time flew by fast. So just to do a quick recap, we started, 7 weeks ago. And here's a snapshot of the things that we covered. And actually we started 8 weeks ago. So I had to miss last week. I was out for some of my weekend hard things that I do. So I had a Spartan event, so I had a blast. So I'm fully recharged now, and we are into module number 7, which is, I would say, the most important module because we were talking about AI and different models. We were looking at AI agent in the last session, and now I want to connect some more dots for you. What's happening in the world, why things are changing so fast. I'll show you a couple of examples, but where I want to lead you guys is to how to learn, how to not just learn more reactively, how to become a learning machine. Because there will be a huge gap in the world we are heading where people who know how to learn fast versus people who have been stagnant and forgot learning. Because so let's dive in. I'll convince you in next 5 minutes that people who are unmotivated and don't are not learning, the future is going to become very, very tough for them. Okay. So what's happening now is, we have been, this is an AI course and we have been talking about AI. And so the truth is the AI is here and it is growing. It is growing week by week. If you just go to your favorite search engine and you just say like, hey, what happened in the AI just last 1 week? It's very overwhelming. Things are moving fast. It's a snowball effect because now AI can learn from the feedback. We are telling like, hey, you are good here or you are not good here. Next time it gets better. So 2 or 3 things that caught my eyes and then I see it coming. This is one. Many big company CEOs, they are coming out and they are challenging their team that why we should hire new people. Okay. And it's happening a lot more in big companies. They are hiring way less. This guy is from Shopify. He's a Shopify CEO, and he came out more boldly kind of last week. He put out a tweet here, if I show you. And what he's saying is he sent this memo to his entire company, and then he's like, before you come back and ask me like, hey, we need to hire a new person, prove me that this job cannot be done by an AI agent or an AI. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's happening in big companies. But then this other argument is, hey, this AI open up more opportunities. There are a lot more startups. There are a lot more innovation happening, right? Overall, the more we will do more work with AI. And that is 100% true. But again, the challenge is there in San Francisco itself, there are almost last survey I was looking at is there's 5,027 startups. And maybe that number is now, old. There are a lot more startups. So the argument is if there are more startups coming, they are creating more jobs. That's true. But even in the startup, those startups are hiring very, very less. What you will see is even if startup was growing up to $1 million, $10 million, they used to hire more people. Now they're staying very lean. Out of these 5,000 startups, I would say 50% of them only have somewhere between 3 to 5 people, and they have crossed 1 million in revenue, and they are saying we will not hire that many people. So I think what the key takeaway here is everybody is becoming very calculative when it comes down to hiring, and that's what you will see. People who are losing job, it takes them very, very long time to find a new job. It used to be specifically, right? We live in Silicon Valley here, and I like it. Somebody was looking for a job, maybe 3 months, 4 months. Now I'm meeting with people that takes hey, I lost my job almost 9 months ago. I'm actively looking. I'm doing so many interviews, or like, I'm not getting the role, even though I'm okay to, go one level down in the. So just not to kind of paint you a very negative picture, but it is super important to be aware what's happening. And it's not just Silicon Valley. I see this slowly because, we monkeys, we copy each other, and then this will percolate into other areas as well. So the question becomes what's driving that? One thing we looked into last week is AI agents, right? So AI agent is a piece of software, and then it can now do the task, not just like previous form of automation. It can reason, it can plan, it can act just like we human do. And if you see, I found this picture very interesting because in just the last 3 or 4 months, what's happening is people are not just talking about a single AI agent, which means a single task. What they're talking about is, let's make these AI agents talk to each other, agents to agent. So the question becomes, what happened to human? What will be their role? What will be those organizations? What will be those organization structure? When I can have my agent, you can have your agent. If those agents are talking to each other, what we will do in the future of work, in the future of org structure. So I don't know. I mean, I can a little bit of make some educated guesses how this is going to play out. The future is becoming very uncertain. Okay. And I'm always in the camp like that. I can't predict future. It's changing fast. The only thing then I focus on is preparing so that we can incrementally figure it out slowly, and you will not be caught off guard like what the heck is happening here. So basically this is all, of course, driven by a lot more like I may be a little bit of in hype cycle here in being Silicon Valley, but all the stats telling me that it is growing fast, and many people, as in society, is not ready. Okay, so Neelam, you have your hands up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to just share my opinion about it, right? Means I'm in the same space, that I'm heading the AI team. So I think future is, we have infinite number of problems to solve. As a human being, I think we are very smart, and no machine can overtake is my take on it. But the flavors of work we do will change. And it has changed in the past too. I think it's not evolving now, it's erupting because of the natural language processing and the Gen AI introduction, right? So that's why you're spot on that we have to learn fast, and we have to make sure, people have different interests, right? So the creative people will have more in demand. And I think our education system also have to follow that trail. We are not producing that many creative people anymore, right? More people are like, imagine we developed a calculator, right? I mean, people stop doing mental math and all of that, right? So it's I think it's on the same line. And because problems are infinite, we are now actually capable of solving it faster, right? One person at my team was doing a job in like 4 days, now is able to finish in few hours, right? That's what I'm looking at. So these type of courses you're throwing at society, I think is wonderful, because not everybody is charged up or involved in those areas. It's getting ahead of the machine, right? Like human first, not AI first. We have to get in the front of it. And I think it's all about the education and learning the right tools to use. That's what my take on it. The future is going to be bright. It's just people who on board it at the right time will thrive. And right means you have to make sure it starts with the education system. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Neelam. I think very well said. And that's the part I'm going to kind of go dive into next. But at the same time, I want to share these kind of signals, right? What's happening in there, because people ignore it. And this change, the only difference I see is all the previous revolution versus this transformation. the speed of this is very, very fast compared to, let's say, if we, from argument's sake, the agricultural revolution, or even in the previous, those took like 5 years, 10 years. This will not take that long. So what will happen is, if we don't prepare, many people will be caught off guard. And then humans can evolve, we can play catch-up game. So it's basically, do you want to be in that camp, or you want to be, okay, I'm ready, I see this an opportunity. In fact, I will, after I upskill, I'm seeing my value is even going more. I can earn more, and I can get better roles. So I think that's the gap is widening. That's the part I'm worried about. So just to show you a couple of more examples, more on the robotics side, very quickly. I'll not show, spend more in here, but this is the another angle, right? If you have these AI as in a brain, if you give them hands and legs, what happens? So let's take a look at these two quick example videos. So by the way, hey, I love making roti and I love making those. So if you see in the pizza shop and others, and then what caught my attention is the precision, and then at the speed. Let's say this robot is making the dough in a big pizza shop, and now, okay, what it means. I mean, it's obviously for the pizza shop owner, this is way more productive. This person will not get tired, will not complain, will not take sick leave, and blah blah. Right? There's another example that showed up in my feed was a horse robot, and I was amazed to see the running this going on the hill, and then really taking the turn, and then so and this is not like a AI made up. In fact, I visited, there's a company right here in San Jose called Figure. They are making robots, and I went there into their office, and I was amazed to see in their manufacturing lines, like there are 3,000 robots, both built for home use. So I play this short video. And then also, of course, the industrial use, right? They already started with industrials, but then the important part is, what if we all have these robots at home that learns and adapt? And how do they learn and adapt? It's come back to this very fast progress in AI. So this is their Figure version 3. And the mixed example, like, I got the grocery, and these robots are taking it and fitting into the first time. They were not trained into this house. So that's the part, like, of the different this time, and this feedback loop and the learning. Okay. So I'll share some of my playbook, how I have been learning, and then what I have learned in terms of kind of refined when things are changing so fast. So let's go into some of those. I'll skip this slide. This is AI agent use cases. So when I think of AI agent, think of that can do the job, like writing code, and even in the hiring, and your teacher. So the argument becomes is, if everybody has the best intelligence in their pocket, then what's the difference? And I think the difference is people who are motivated and can learn. And so then I was looking into what's happening at each layer. Quickly, there was a Google conference, and then Google is an important company in this space, and then I try to look at what did they announce. It's all along the same line, right? What I mean is, whether you look into what NVIDIA is doing, what OpenAI is doing, and then, because these are the frontier lab companies, these have like every company has thousands of AI researchers, and then they are thinking about what will happen in the next 5 years and 10 years. So what you will see in here is, don't worry about these names. They may throw you out what Firebase is. But the key thing in it here is there's a step function progress in the hardware level. There's step function progress in the model level. As we have been learning Gemini throughout the course. So now what you will see is there's a new Gemini 2.5 will become free for everybody soon. And it is amazingly fast. It has longer context window, if you remember. the LLM context window we learned. And then has all the multimodality. You can create audio, you can create video, you can create images, and then important thing is you don't have to go and use them through the conversational interface. Okay, and so what's becoming is it is becoming part of the workflow. So which means if I'm in a Google Doc or in a slide or I'm in a Slack or doesn't matter, the AI will be right here. So for example, if you see where my mouse is on this right-hand side, I can ask right here, hey, summarize this, make it better. So just to show you a quick demo, it's very contextual. And that's what I think makes it more powerful is if something can understand where am I, who am I, right? My profile, what I do, and then you apply the AI, then it becomes more useful. Otherwise, you'll have to do a lot of big prompting and then give the context. But in this case, I don't have to do context. It knows that I'm Manjeet Singh, I'm logged in, this is my Google profile. And then I'm looking into, let's say, this slide deck in here. And then it gives me, let's say, if I zoom in a bit, okay, if I need to add another slide or... so a couple of these are pre-built template, but the key thing in here is sky's the limit. You think about what it should do, you can just ask, you can just put that in the form of prompt. Okay. So let's talk about a bit of like, how do we start learning and then change this mindset? Because if we stay in the boat again, going back to that, this change is coming fast. So what we need to start kind of thinking about it is, instead of getting anxious and worried, what Neelam was saying is like, hey, we human, the biggest power that we human have is we can adopt. We can think about what's important to us, and then we can decide what we need to learn. We can align it to our passion. We can align it to where we want to go. So I want to highlight like a couple of things. One is anxiety versus opportunity. So if you think like, oh, I was saying role compression is happening, companies are hiring less. On the other hand, we can read those news and get sad. Or on the other hand, we can say like, you know what? This is a great technology. It makes me 2x productive. I can now create things much, much faster. And if I can do much faster, then I'm augmenting what I was able to do last year versus this year. So it's an opportunity for me. So that's how I look about it in my role as product person, product builder. I use it a lot, and I use it is not as a kind of primary thinking tool. I use it to get my jobs done. I need to do market research. I need to decide what my software team should build. I need to decide how will I take those products to market, how I segment the markets. So think of like the full workflow that as PM I do, and then the more I use it, the better I understand where it is good and not good at. And now it's been, I think I'm deep into this for kind of almost 2 years. I'm using it more and more. So, and what it means is, let's say if it's 6 months ago, my productivity was 40% up. Now I can say it is 100% up very confidently, except few scenarios where it takes more iteration and I'm like, forget it, I'll just do it by, without AI. So I see it as an opportunity. And opportunity in terms of increasing my productivity. I manage a team, my team's productivity. I'm forcing my team, not as, hey, this is not an optional. Just like what Toby is saying is, hey, using AI is not optional. We all have to use it. So it's the same. I'm telling like my productivity, I'm showing them examples, my team's productivity, and then how can we do more with less, right? Less hard work, less, and more projects, better projects, right? And so I see it as like, because we have this argument like, should we see it as a cost saving or should we see it as a revenue growth driver? And my company is pretty big, right? 70,000 people. And then, one argument is there's too many people. But we are more moving into the camp is, hey, we have 17,000 brains. We are human. And now there's a big opportunity here. How can we double our revenue, company revenues? So I think that's a better narrative. It's more positive rather than, more of reducing people and versus solving more harder problems that were not possible before. Okay, so I think it's this kind of the continuous learning mindset. But the one challenge you will run into is there are so many things. What should I learn? And that's where this last point is super important. Like, identify those high leverage skills first, because in AI, just to give an idea, I'll show you, let's say the one slide that maybe it's a rough one here. So if you look into this slide and, we can talk about, this AI agent, but if you look under the hood, what makes an AI agent? And each of these is a piece of technology. And then, so now the question becomes how the heck will I learn? For example, how will I heck learn the database? How will I heck learn how to read the unstructured data, which is RAG here? How would I learn how this different reactive framework works? And look at how the LLM's regions. But the good news is you don't have to learn all of those pieces. And the question becomes you identify those few very common high, I call them high leverage skills or meta skills, and start there. Okay, so then the question becomes, what are those? Let's say, hey Manjit, can you tell me 2 things that I should learn, and that will put me in a good spot? So the answer is yes. Okay, so let me go back to where I was mentioning about high leverage skill. So here is my prioritized list. First is starting with how to ask AI what to do. In other words, prompting, in other words, prompt engineering. And this skill is not new, right? Because, throughout my whole life, people told me hey, if you asked a good question, that's the best skill. And I didn't understand the power of that. Now I understand, because I had not many people in my life whom I can go and ask question. Now I have the world's and all intelligence in my phone. I can ask. It doesn't judge me, and it could be stupid questions. I can ask 100 times. So, but I think this building this what can you craft what you want to do in your job, or just let's say if you're feeling overwhelmed or anything, it can become your therapist, it can become your coding partner, it can become your the fitness guru. So that's where I think my number one skill. The second is how do you, once AI give you the response back, how do you decide what is good or what is bad? I call this evaluation or acceptance criteria. The name for that is eval. And that's very obvious, because this AI can give you wrong answer. The AI can hallucinate you, and then so that's where second skill is this. Third skill is maybe I'm more biased here. This is agents, but you will hear more and more agents doing job for you, and then. And the fourth one is data, a bit of, what data this AI should use and don't use, my personal data, and how do you protect your privacy. Some basic digital hygienes we all should learn, so that we can get best out of this tool set. Okay, so there's another image, I think, just to kind of, the typical patterns. We go to school, study for 20 years, and then we do a job and retirements. And I think the way things are moving, this model has to evolve and change quite a lot at each step. Do we really have to study for 20 years? I'm seeing a lot more founders directly coming out after 12th grade. In fact, yesterday I was in a VC conference, and then they were showing this data. They're like, hey, so many people they just understood the basics, like how to read, write, and speak, and now they're like building startups. So I think there's a lot of the kind of compression will happen, and there's many new paths, many new opportunities will emerge. And one thing I'm thinking about it is, hey, will this change will be just like a social media as a reference, or will it be something like what happened in the agriculture or farmer revolution? Because in agricultural farmers, many farmers lost a job. Okay, will it be that, or social media where it created opportunity for millions of people? We all are now kind of solopreneurs. So many people are making their earning using YouTube, and then small businesses, and then so let's see. I think it's how it will play out. So I think the key takeaway is there will be many different new paths, and opportunity will come, but with very high competition. Because if you don't know how to use this AI to improve your productivity, you will not be able to compete with the ones who do. Okay. Another thing maybe obvious is I was, when I started on this, I was reading all these papers, and then or on the Twitter all the time, reading articles, and my thinking was, my understanding of this whole space was pretty scattered. But the moment I started to write about it, I read something, let's say for a couple of hours, and then it's like, now I want to tell this to somebody in my own words. That's where things change. So I highly recommend. And sometimes you don't even have to write. You just have to like, hey, let me go and explain it to somebody. So that another form is teaching or speaking, and I'm having fun. In fact, my this entire weekend is I'm doing 5 speaking sessions in schools, and then going to Berkeley and others. So, and it's my personal interest, because now the more I share, the more I kind of hear from other people. If you see the difference between the picture, the left and the right, it's connecting more dots for me. It's connecting more like, okay, how this thing works, not on the surface, but behind the scene. What's the first degree impact? What's the second degree impact? And so on and so forth. I'll share maybe, let's see, as 2-3 points from here, how to learn fast. Okay. First one, as I'm saying in every session, and I also gave homework to us in the session, is there is no workaround, or there is no shortcut if we don't use these tools, or don't use like easy ones, right? Start with ChatGPT and Gemini. They're very obvious. But the more you use it, the more you will understand that how powerful that is. People who come and tell me, oh yeah, I asked this prompt and didn't give me answer, or it was give me wrong, and those, and I don't argue with them. The only thing I tell them is that you haven't used it enough. So please, if you really want to learn, not just read, use it every day. If something didn't work last month, go and try it now. Maybe it's working. This thing is getting much better. Do some projects, right? And then we did 1 or 2 homework projects. So, right, start building images, or start building your website, start think about your personal brand, start sharing, start writing. Don't worry about how people will judge you. Okay. Third one is a hard lesson learned for me, but because when I started following people, I was started going the best of the best. And at the level they were sharing information, like think of somebody who is working in DeepMind and a deep researcher, and then I started consuming their content. It was not connecting with me. So then what I did was I came a level down to 1 or 2. So my now I think lesson learned here is based on wherever you are starting, you're not late. Start anywhere, and then look for people who are into the similar area, but then 1 or 2 level above you in terms of learning, and it's easy to find these days. You can do it on LinkedIn, and I can show it to you as well. But and then you kind of, once you reach to that level, find to the another level. So that's the way to learn. Otherwise, there's so many things are changing at the AI model level, at infrastructure level, at the data level, at the use case level, and it's very overwhelming. But if you do this, you'll find it super, super helpful. And this one I mentioned, you need to figure it out. How do you learn? I'm more of a listener. And then more recently spending more time onto this one, these two, writing and teaching. I have a very, I would say, fixed routine in a week where I booked my calendar and I learn. For example, Saturday mornings are the best for me. I also learned like Friday afternoon. And I use this phrase very often is, how do you become a learning machine? And you have to figure it out. See, we all are different. What I'm sharing is what I found helpful. Take whatever fits into your routine, and then discard everything else. But come up with one thing I'll challenge you. Come up with your own tips. If your son or daughter or anybody asks you like, "Hey, how can I learn AI?" Think about what advice will you give it to them, and don't just somebody else's advice. The things that you have tried by yourself. Okay. So, and as you do this week after week, month after month, you will reach into a good spot. I think it takes about 6 months where then you can start to follow people who are maybe at level 3 and level 4. So it's an incremental snowball effect. Okay. Then, as I was saying, the divide between motivated and unmotivated people is going to be big. So choice is easy. Stay on the motivated side. When motivation hit, act on it. If an article you like something, good articles, bookmark it, come back, consume. Motivation is perishable, so kind of leverage it as much as you can. Okay, I'll share one last slide, and then we'll spend some time on question and answers here. So, see, everything, technology is a double-edged sword. It brings a lot of bad things as well. And one of the bad things that can happen is because see, I'm telling you use AI more, use kind of everything. And a lot of people, what they do is they start to depend on it too much. So true story, I hired one interns into product role, and very smart kid, and he was like super productive, and I'm like, man, I think he was making me look a little bit because he write a product requirement document, PRDs, and he was like next morning, boom, 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 because he was very deep into this. And then what happened was we had the power outage in the office. So basically all the Wi-Fi was out and everything, and then we were in the conference room, and then I all of a sudden saw that he was not able to think at all. He was not able, because he was so dependent on, if anything comes, let me put it into ChatGPT, or let me come into like a so don't go that route, because then you are training the wrong muscle. You don't want to outsource your primary thinking. The way I do it is, what I do is I always have this kind of my, maybe it's not visible here, this white pad. Before I type anything in there, I draw in here, okay, which task I'm working on, and what do I know, and then what basically is the gaps I have, what question I need to be asking. So then it's kind of, it's a tool, as we see it as kind of, productive tool, and then I do my exercise, because I don't want him in a state where, even if these AIs will get powerful for sure, they are already cracking the, beating humans in the math test and the PhD test and all that. But what differentiates us is if we think critically and we think bringing all these scenarios and what's happening in our world, and then also keeping in mind point number 4 and 5 here, if you see data, right? Going back to, are we using it ethically? Don't try to do something bad, where, or intentionally or unintentionally, right? Because sometimes you use these AI and then it's like, oh, is maybe I took the response as is and I copy that in the email, send it, but I forgot, like, if this was a biased response, it might hurt the person who is reading this. So what it comes down to is, whatever you do with the AI, you are responsible. Okay. For example, if you're driving, right, car will drive and you are responsible to make sure you drive safe. So that sort of analogy. So review everything. Don't take the face value. And some people is like, they ask and then you might feel like, oh, you can do 100 things and review everything, because these models cannot differentiate what's really good in your context. They can write well, they can write super fast, they can write all kind of things now, text, code, audio, video. They will be making movies, but I think then our human's job will be as an editor, as an kind of guiders. So the way I see my role going forward is that I'll be probably managing a mix of these AI agents and then mix of, let's say, my team members, and my team members will also be trained into how do we manage AI. So I think it's becoming a product manager to become AI PM, like how I manage AI to do better and solve more complex problems. So with that, I think let's maybe leave 5-10 minutes for questions. I had fun, a little bit of every Saturday morning thinking about, hey, what should we discuss? So if I kind of go back to in here, we went through some fundamentals like, hey, how does this brain, how it came together? We looked at the history, and then we talked about where it is being applied. We also, I try to stay a little bit of, although I got carried away sometime using this more technical term, but I was very consciously like, some of us, don't have technical degrees. So how can I explain what's happening? And then, so here, time flew by and pretty much close to the end. Let me know. So let's go into questions, and then I would love to see if you have thoughts, feedback, or if you want to, if there is an interest in doing not the basic, let's say the little bit of next level of this, I'll might do it in a couple of weeks. All right. Hi, Neelam.
Hi, Manjeet. I was just curious that what's your thought on, like, mostly I'm seeing the trend that, okay, developers are being productive and there are many ways like these big tech companies are, of course, building technology, but the other enterprise mainly are consumers of it, right? Means they're adopting to use it safely. So regulatory agencies, like I'm in healthcare space, right? Means they are still very hesitant in kind of exposing ourselves, right? Means we are, of course, want to use very responsible, we are more ethical and biased regulations are asked, right? So how are you seeing that trend coming up, like in your interaction? Do you see a way forward or more stringent regulations coming up? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so great question. So what I'm seeing is, so one is, let's say this regulated industry, right? Think of like your healthcare and life science, and then banking and financial, and then so those companies are, for obvious reasons, are kind of slow in the sense they want this piece to be more mature. They want it to be more accurate. So, for example, the one way I look at it is, if I use these AI and AI agents, and if this gives me answer like 70% correct, is that acceptable? right? What's the threshold of acceptance in a given, let's say, the criticality of the workflow? So where maybe the other way to look at it is, hey, who is adopting it fast? Which companies, which job roles? So here is my stack ranking, Neelam. So one is writing softwares. Okay, in generally, right? If you look into maybe the regulated industries, maybe less, but they are also going and looking into more enterprise platform where your data is not fed into the common model. So what some of my healthcare customer, what they're saying is, hey, I want to run it in my VPC, kind of my local environment, and then we want to control it. We want to kind of not send it to OpenAI or any of those. But software development is one. The second one is the customer service. That's becoming our kind of big bet right now, and I'm seeing this across. So think of your customer service scenario, right? The call centers and those, like you may call your level 1 and level 2 support. It's transforming at a big speed because so the difference there is the number of calls that doesn't matter, right? Somebody chatting on your website or somebody making a voice call, it is able to handle 70 to 80% of that.
I think you're spot on that, right? That's why I was wondering, like, because being a head of an health space, right, we are exploring more mature technology, right? These chatbot services are, of course, we can adopt, right? We can control more of in-house data interaction with that. We're adopting the RAG-based and more control on local than relying on that. I think it's making a difference, but as compared to other entities, it's like we can't just jump into more, I would say, state of the art, but we are like tagging along, like in the back. So that's what you might see, right, with financial space or people who are more under government regulations, right, federal stuff. Okay.
And here is an interesting observation. So I'll tell you what the way that this industry works, and it's my take. I observed that in ServiceNow also, in both healthcare and then even in banking, right? You don't want to jump on state of the art thing, but once one big player uses it and proves, like, hey, let's say we saw like when JP Morgan Chase adopted some of our platform, within a year, all the big guys came like. You look at, like, you need a success story, you need some, can I talk to a customer? Sure, here's the reference and talk to. And that then it happens very fast. So start is very, very slow, but once it starts to happen, the confidence builds up and then everything on quickly.
Yeah, I think well said, and maybe we should chat more. I'm trying to be that like that healthcare space. So definitely your cause is very good, Manjeet, because when you talk and you learn from each other, possibility expands. So, and thank you for doing this. It's just very useful for people who are beginner and also trying, like, kids nowadays, as you well said, like my kids are part of that group where San Francisco, they meet over a weekend and they develop a POC by the end of the night. Means it's that fast.
Yeah.
And any idea?
It's
changing for sure.
Yeah. No, totally. I think hold this POC and then 0 to, I call like AI is delivering more value where you're building something 0 to 1. It still had challenge if you want to have, let's say, existing enterprise application and then you want to add in there. It's still pretty little bit of flaky. So, but it's moving very, very fast. And what I mean is, things that didn't work for me 2 months ago, many of those starts to work now, and I'm like, holy shit, this is. And then sometimes this anxiety versus opportunity question comes up.
These models also, like, you fail a kind of analysis a week ago, and suddenly it's just like same, like stats. If you gather, you have percentile differences. They're catching up to each other also. That's kind of my observation in our projects we were doing.
Right.
As you are rightly saying, means we can't catch up to the speed right now. Because it's a lot of open space, a lot of big tech companies are doing it. It's really a big rat race going on right now. So
Right.
better be part of it. And it's exciting too. Like sometimes it's so exciting you want to actually spend your weekend learning about it, right? Means that's what the change is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, RK, please ask your question.
Yeah, Manjit. First of all, very thanks like for taking this initiative. Like really learned a lot. Like came here from your inspired by your writings in the LinkedIn. Yeah. So coming to my question, so we all or individually have some roles, right? Like we may be
Right.
developers, consultants, architects, or whatever it is. So we can leverage AI to improve our productivity. We know how to write prompts, we know how to get the results, and we know how to use it. And same thing
Mhm.
can be done by anyone. Okay. They also can know how learn how to use AI and adapt in their roles.
Right.
But we are not the core AI guys. Okay. So when
Mhm.
you talk with AI guys, they talk about weights in the neural network. They talk about MCPs, RAGs, even though we
Right.
know a little bit, we can never get into the tech of that. So
Right.
because of our individual roles, like we are still limited by this. So how
Right.
a consultant or a developer can like um can have that advantage, so knowing all these things, like
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah. No.
replaceable, right? Like we are still replaceable.
Yes and no. So here's how to think about it. So the good
Hmm.
news is that this recent AI models, you don't have to learn them, the model itself. You need to learn how to
Hmm.
use it. So now I think your question is, okay, if everybody, because if natural language is the new programming language, for example, right? If anybody can say like, hey, create a website for me, and add this, this product and services, and then within 30 seconds, I have that code written and I can kind of deploy it. So I think what it comes down to is you have to look into your job role, what you do, and you have to come from that strength,
Hmm.
the domain knowledge that you have built, the workflow knowledge that you have built, and then things that because that nobody can kind of take it from you. Um, and then think of, okay, the how to use the start from the usage part, like asking the question, can it make me more productive? This thing was taking me, let's say, 3 hours to do it. Let me ask it and then see if
Hmm.
I can finish it in 30 minutes. Okay, so that's the phase one. Then you go to the phase two,
Hmm.
where you are like, okay, if I do in a given week, look into your calendar or look into like and do inventory and then plot them kind of a 2 by 2 matrix and then see which are the tasks that are high value to me or low or repetitive tasks. And then anything that you feels like repetitive and easy to do, focus on how can I automate them first. And then think about
Okay.
where you have to do more critical thinking, where you will have to make the judgment, right? AI will, we humans should, I hope AI never makes a lot of judgment and it stays bad. That's my wish. Uh, because then you spend on those time like, the trust, right? So for example, if I'm in a sales role, the thing I'll do is I'll not spend time in kind of, just going to searching people and let AI do the prospecting for me. What I'll spend time is building those more human connection, talking to customer a lot more, right, in person, and then that's what will be more important in closing the sales deals in the future. Um, so I think thinking where the human to human connection will be a lot more important. Spending
Hmm.
more time in there, and then they get better than anybody else. So the thing is, not many people are learning, to be honest. So there's a opportunity window for first movers, and then if you look at go to LinkedIn, do here's an interesting experiment. Search for the job, any role that you, let's say, excites you, and then open the job descriptions. 90% of jobs are now asking for, okay, do you gone are the days, oh, you can use the Excel and PowerPoint and those. Now it's like, okay, are you can you use AI to do your work better? So if you want to go in more, the deep, that's I say it's like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1, everybody, I think, for most part, if your job can be done by computers, then, and if you avoid the phase 1 of, you will be doomed in a year from now. That's how fast things are moving.
So you're saying we have to learn how to use AI. Like we don't need to really know the behind the scenes of AI, right? Like
going back to the example,
how it
like
is built.
Correct. See, you don't care. End of the day, what's happening is you will not even know which AI model is being used behind the scene. Think of that's intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. But what for your job, what you will ask AI, and then more importantly, when AI will give the response back, how you will, is this good enough, not good enough? How you'll refine it? Is it ethical? Is it biased? Is it toxic? So doing all those is assessment and judgment, and then decide whether to use it or not. That's the skill. It takes time. It takes repetitions. So get your reps in, and you will see the difference.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, sure. So another thought that usually I do is when, so if I have, let's say, have a whiteboard, what I do is, hey, let's spend just 5 minutes in laying down the job that you do. And don't think of your job as just one thing or one monolithic thing. It's just like specific task. Okay. And then you see is like where AI is helpful and not helpful, and areas where it's a lot more like going back to the trust, the judgment, and critical thinking, and then right reasoning and those. So just continue to make those kind of your judgment, and then use AI for brainstorming, producing the first draft, and then you make the draft better, right? The one line that you will see is like AI plus human is the right unlock. So human in the loop is an important one. Okay, awesome. So, Kitty, any question that you may have? Any feedback? Was it useful? Not sure if maybe you're muted.
Sorry, I was talking on the mute, but
okay.
I tried doing my resume, and I got such a wonderful feedback from AI. So I got laid off, unfortunately, last week, and I have been doing job search and using AI to the maximum, and it's really yielding good results. Where to look for jobs, what kind of opportunities are there. And the best thing was people ask like $400 to make your resume, and I got the really best version of my resume. So that was a very good benefit of it.
Yeah. No, sorry to hear. I think in fact, two quick piece of advice. Less what I will do is use AI to prep for your interview. It's fantastic. And the voice mode, use the voice mode.
Actually.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Voice mode. Okay, that is a good suggestion.
Because that's the real simulation, right? Because mock prep interview. So
right.
Go for it. Simulate it like, hey, usually interview is 45 minutes, and then what you do is, okay, I'll go for a walk in the neighborhood or the park. Fire up. Even Gemini has now the full voice mode, or it's free, and then you just like. I'm prepping for, so let me give you a prompt. Okay, so what you do is you fire it up, and then it's like, hey, I'm actively looking for a job, and I'm interviewing for XYZ role. and at this level, and play as a role of interviewer, okay, and then start asking questions, and then make sure that if you are happy with my answer, ask more difficult questions. So that way it will adopt just like your SAT kind of test cases, and then do it few times, and you will feel more and more prep or fully warmed up when your real kind of interviews starts to line up.
That is a wonderful feedback. Thank you so much, Mandeep, for doing this. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, too, and best of luck. And if you see any role and want to apply, one other tip I have is and super important. Anytime a job is posted, and if you don't get your resume in within 72 hours, you are already late in the game. That's
correct.
How bad
That's why every morning I wake up and apply. But like I'm into talent acquisition, and I don't know, there are so many openings, but I have no idea if they really, because that same things keep repeating. And as a talent acquisition partner, I would go through resumes, I would dispose them, and then we had to, within 30 days, we had to bring the job down because that was our SLA. But I don't know, these days, like the job is open for 90 days, and I don't understand if they're really real-time jobs that those are there.
Yeah. No, that's I think still I think there's a lot of noise there, but they get in early, because what happens is I posted a job last week around like 2 p.m. and next day I had 1,000 applicants for the product role.
Yes.
And then I had to tell my recruiter, right, please kind of, we don't need more, because there's so, and then you want to go through the referral and connections as much as possible and go fast.
That was, of course,
that will improve your odds of, because what do you need is a couple of interview calls, and then you prep with AI to really feel and do best in that 45 minutes time. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. We are at time, and I appreciate your joining, some of you, and on and off. And but we have the recording. I'll put it onto the YouTube. So if you missed it, you can catch up. Stay well. Drink a lot of water. Keep moving, and then let's have fun with AI. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.